Thank you all for joining me today. It's a very special day for a very special person. Richard Kangas, who's been our lab director for a number of years, is retiring. And I'd like to spend a little time talking with him, kind of going down the reminiscing path. So I'm going to start off by asking Razz, we know him as Razz, tell us your path to Portage. What was that like?
Well, I think it started right when I was a junior in high school, sitting in chemistry class, Jerry Parker's chemistry class here in Hancock, and he showed a video on medical technology. And I remember thinking at that young age, that's what I want to do. And by God, I did. Went to Michigan Tech for 3 years, did an internship at Hurley Medical Center in Flint. That was a 1-year stint, and I graduated from Michigan Tech in 1973 with my bachelor's degree in medical technology. And then I planned on working in Flint for 1 year, but I always wanted to come back home. And I got married. One of the highlights of my life was the birth of our 2 children, Rajon and Patrice. It was mind-blowing when they were brought into this world, and they're the big part of my life. They provided us with 6 grandchildren, so that is wonderful also. And then I kept calling up here. I knew Mr. Houle at the time, Jim Houle, and I was looking for a job up here, and one didn't pan out. And I kept tried after 4 years, and then tried again 4 more years. We ended up buying a house down there. Couldn't get a job up here. But we used to come up here every summer for vacation. We never vacationed anywhere else, because my wife at that time was also from Houghton. So all our family was up here. And I can still remember driving home I think it was the 9th year, driving home from here and tears in my eyes. I didn't want to go back to Flint, but there we were going. And I think it was within 6 months that Jim Houle called me and said, there's an opening. And so that was it. I was gone. I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I hired in here in August of 1983. And I've been here since. The med tech career for me has been a godsend. I mean, it fits me to a T. I've enjoyed the career. It's been very evolving constantly. There's always new things to learn. But I haven't regretted 1 minute of my career. It's been an awesome thing. And a lot of it's due to Portage, giving me opportunities to advance in other areas also.
That's really wonderful that you can say that. It's a blessing. I don't know that a lot of people can say that their career has been rewarding every minute. So that's awesome. So what are some of the highlights?
I think some of the highlights were getting involved with, first of all, with Northern Michigan and developing a internship program with Northern Michigan. That we went with them first. It was in probably 1987 or 88. We had our first students, and we've had students ever since. We still meet with one of the students occasionally for lunch, our very first students, and it was a Saracen girl, Lori Saracen. And so we still see her once in a while. And then after that, it was getting into the computer systems. And when I first came here, we had no computers whatsoever. And I tried to bring in just a little, it's not even really a computer, but it gave us the capabilities of printing out results on the machines. And when we tried to do that, the techs at that time didn't catch on to it. They didn't like it. There were mistakes. It didn't work. And so we trashed it. But within a year or two, then Portage, Jim Bogan led the way on that one with coordination with the Marquette to get a citation LIS system. And that citation system was a great system. And they asked me if I would help build it. And I got involved, and I built the lab part, which was the biggest part of it. And Jim got involved also with some of the pathology end. This was just basically a lab computer, though it wasn't. It was connected to the admissions and discharge and transfers that we had at that time. I can't remember the name of that system. Remember the name of that system?
Not right now. I
Yeah,
can't.
but it did connect to that, so we could take information, demographic information from the hospital system at that time, and that lasted for quite a few years. I think we went live with that in about 91 or 92, and we kept that one till 2003 when we went live with Meditech. And Meditech was a big build, and that took us almost a year, many trips to Boston, and that's a very robust system. And as you know, everybody in the hospital uses Meditech, so that was a big build, but it was enjoyable. I think maybe the biggest highlight of my career was Jim Bogan asked me if I would be the occupational coordinator for the hospital when we did our move. And I was reluctant at first, but he kind of persuaded me. And he was another mentor in my life, Jim was. And he gave me the courage maybe to step forward and do that. So I took 1 year out of the lab completely. They hired a temp at that time. I think that was the last temp we ever had. And I was strictly in charge of 6 different committees. That's all I did all day long was go from one meeting to a next, keep track of timelines. I didn't do much of the work. I was just kind of the cheerleader for that whole project, making sure people were getting their stuff done. They were doing the work. And that move went off without a hitch. And I think it was March 4th of 2000 that we moved into this building. And it was a sunny day, and there was green grass on. If you can believe that,
I remember
with
that.
the snow we have now, March 4th was, Jim Bogan was blessed too, because when we set that date, I thought, well, that date might not work so well because it could be winter, but it was perfect. And that movement went really well.
Yes,
That was
I
very
remember
gratifying.
that very clearly. We moved 6 patients,
Yeah,
which we were very grateful for only having to move 6 patients.
right.
Yeah, it did. You did a great job with that, Razz. You really did. I think people really appreciated all that work you put
Remember
into
the
it.
open house?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, did we have the
Yeah.
people? I
Oh,
think
my
they were,
goodness, yes.
the estimates were in the 5,000 people range. They were parked all the way over to high school, and this whole building was just crawling with people.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to see the opening of the hospital.
It was a great community.
Stupak was here. He gave a nice speech. Owen gave a nice speech, and it was a big thing.
Yes. I think you had some children that worked here too, right?
Yeah, there was
Family
at
affair.
one time there was 7 people in my immediate family that either worked here or volunteered here. My mother, God rest her soul, she volunteered here for a while in medical records. While she was volunteering, we had my son was working in the kitchen. I think Brooke might have started in the kitchen. That's my stepdaughter, but she ended up working down in materials. My daughter worked in the kitchen a little bit, part-time. And of course, Aaron was working at that time, and Ryan was working, but he was in, I don't know if he was in facilities at the time. He worked different departments also. So there was 7 of us all working at the same time in like 2005, somewhere around there.
That's amazing.
Now it's only me and Aaron and Ryan left. Everybody's moved on.
So, what are you going to do now?
It's a good question. My wife Erin's a little bit, I don't know, nervous about me being at home all the time, and she's going to have honey-do list for me, she said, and that's a good thing. And I don't have problems. I can drive her to work every day. I can cook meals. I can clean the house. I can do laundry. I can do all that stuff. My mother raised me well. My hobbies, the things I like the most are reading. I love to read. I'm a big reader, and I've gotten more involved in reading, especially about biblical things. I'm very concentrated on that. I've been on the board at Zion Lutheran for quite a few years now, and I am a firm believer. And I don't think anything that has happened in my career could have happened without that strong faith. There's been times where I think God intervened for me. I think one of the times is when I decided to go from a medical technology to management, because that was another big move. And Jim was getting ready to retire, and I didn't know if I wanted the job for sure, but I remember walking home from work that on one day, I was halfway home, and it was almost like a lightning bang on the head or something and I stopped in the middle of the field and I said, okay, I'll go. And it's like God told me to go and get that job. And I went and applied for it, and I got it.
Well, I'll tell you, Razz, it's been a great ride, and I've enjoyed working with you every minute of the day. You're a great role model. You're a great human and Christian, and you've taught me a lot. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I thank you for all the years that you've given us, all the memories, everything. And I know you won't be scarce because you're going to help us out down in the lab with some staffing issues, so you'll be on the bench where you started.
Yes, I will.
It's full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
Yep.
I finally feel very confident in what I'm doing, but I got to say, I'm not nearly as fast as these younger kids. They can do the job like that, and I'm a little more.
But they love you.
Oh, I know they do.
You're helping them.
They do.
Yeah.
And I just got to say, too, that I really feel that the laboratory has good leadership going forward with Jen Heltonen. She's a dynamo, smart, and a bulldog. I don't mean a Hancock bulldog. I mean she's just tenacious. Once she gets a hold of something, she's not going to let go until she has a resolution.
She's going to do very well.
She's doing very well. And I think even Portage as a whole, with the new officers in place, I see good things happening.
Yeah, the future's very bright. And you've helped pave the way for a very bright future.
Well, it's been a fun ride, like you said.
You should be proud of that.
I am. I'm very proud. And Portage has been in my heart forever, and it will be going forward too. It will.
Well, God bless your eyes.
Thank you.